Okay, so for this video series, we'll be going through AUC Section 250, and that's the consideration of laws and regulations and audit of financial statements. And this came together from SAS number 122 and is effective for periods ending after 2012. And so this section addresses our responsibility to consider laws and regulations in an audit of financial statements. It does not apply to other assurance engagements, for instance, compliance engagements, where we have to determine whether the entity is in compliance with laws and regulations, for instance, maybe in government auditing standards or under single audits. Those types of engagements are covered in AUC Section 935, so you can go there if you're curious about those parts. But what we're primarily concerned with in this AUC Section 250 is the effect on the financial statements of laws and regulations. So some laws and regulations have a direct effect on the financial statements in that they determine the reported amounts and disclosures in an entity's financial statements. And other laws don't really have a direct effect on the financial statements, but they are a requirement for the business to conduct itself. Some entities operate in heavily regulated industries, for instance, banks and chemical companies, while others are just subject to general laws and regulations that are aspects of all businesses, for instance, occupational safety or equal employment opportunity, human resources laws. And so noncompliance with laws could result in fines, litigation, or other consequences for the entity that may have a material effect on the financial statements. And that's primarily what we are concerned with in the audits. So let's go down to the objective section of this AUC Section 250 so we understand what we're trying to accomplish by complying with this section. So here we have our objectives. They say that the objectives of the auditor are to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding material amounts and disclosures in the financial statements that are determined by the provisions of those laws and regulations generally recognized to have a direct effect on their determination. Our next objective is to perform specified audit procedures that may identify instances of noncompliance with other laws and regulations that may have a material effect on the financial statements. And then finally, our objective is to respond appropriately to noncompliance or suspected noncompliance with laws and regulations identified during the audit. So over the next several videos, we will go about understanding how we can go about achieving the objectives and also what is our responsibility as an auditor and management's responsibility in determining whether the entity has complied with laws and regulations.